So if all we do is blame each other, how do we get to the solution?
Can't, because you in a cycle of blaming each other.
Right.
And so the solution's over there in the corner laughing. Because it's me, and it's not me versus you. It's me and you versus the problem.
Exactly.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Sid the Entertainer. I'm asking y'all to check out the Loveology podcast. This is...
Hello, and welcome to the Loveology podcast, where we talk about love and life with laughter. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Jason.
He's the carefree one.
She's the serious one. And we're married. We have been since 2012, and we like to think of ourselves as a couple of loveologists.
Not because we are the experts, but because we just love love.
We enjoy studying and talking about it, so we thought, let's just start a podcast.
A place where we can share what we have learned about love, relationships, and marriage.
You can share what you've learned, and we can all grow together.
So here we are. Are you ready?
Let's get started. Hey, what's up, world? It's another episode of the Loveology podcast. I hope y'all are ready to continue what we got going on. Man, we excited. I hope you're excited. Hey, you know what we're here for? We Loveology. We just like to, share some things about love and relationship with a little bit of laughter, So if you like that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit that like button and leave us a comment, man. We really appreciate it. So without further ado, let's go along with the show. Baby girl, how you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing outstanding. As you can see, I'm feeling good, feeling great.
We always ask this question like we don't live together.
Hey, man, so I think it's because we're in our host mode. I Loveology podcast host mode.
Yes.
So, we just want to make sure everything is good with each other.
I'm just picking with you.
Like, got your fro popping a little bit.
Yeah, I picked it out.
Hey.
And Jason got his fresh braids.
Hey,
looking good over there.
Got a
new design and everything.
For all our people that's on the audio only, man, make sure you go to YouTube and check us out. Make sure you go to YouTube and check us out. We really appreciate you guys. Really appreciate you. Yes. So, baby, how was your weekend or weekend? How was all this week?
Great. No complaints.
Had a good week?
Sure. Why not?
Okay.
I'm alive and, well.
Okay.
That's like the old folks say.
Okay. I heard that.
As long as I'm clothed in my right mind.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. Go ahead.
We have like a couple of reasons to celebrate
the
next coming weeks.
What's that, love?
Well, this episode will make number 94.
94.
Which means we're approaching our 200th episode.
Ooh. Oh, wrong button. There it is. 200th episode.
And you know what else is happening?
You said 200 though.
Oh, 100.
Yeah, that was accurate. So 100 episodes.
Sorry.
Yeah, for that.
I don't know why. Oh, I know what happened.
Okay.
The other thing that we're celebrating is our 2 year anniversary
of the episode
of Loveology podcast.
So shout out to Loveology podcast for 2 years of doing this thing, holding it down, and man, just having a good time.
Yes. So in April, we will be celebrating the 2 year
That's
mark.
Crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
2 year mark. We've
learned so much and we've grown so much, and I just really hope that you all have too. For people who listen to us every week.
Yes.
We took the one break in December because my grandmother passed away and it was just too much going on here.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, but other than that, like we've been consistently pushing out episodes for every week for 2 years.
Yes. And it's because it's a labor of love, right?
That's right.
And it's fun. You know what I'm saying? We love learning. We love love. And so we love doing this with you guys. Hopefully we can all grow together. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we've grown and become a better couple because of Loveology podcast. This is the real deal.
And really all Loveology podcast is just studying love. You can do this on your own. You don't have to necessarily have Loveology podcast to do this. You can easily go out and read some books and all that good stuff. But if you want to go on a journey with us and have some awesome commentary with me and my lovely wifey, shoot, man, we really appreciate you coming along with us. Yep.
So anyways, I just wanted to point that out.
So, babe, I also want to point some stuff out because, this week we've been doing some things on the sidebar. I've still been flying my drone, you know what I'm saying? Loveology travel. So make sure y'all check that out. You know what I'm saying? I got some pretty cool shots of the Hollywood sign, and I did some editing, as you can see. I also was at the Griffith Observatory. Mm-hmm. Yes. Love it over there. It's pretty cool. So as you can see, the shots was fun. But babe, I kind of surprised you a little bit with some gifts and acts of service. Playing into your love language.
Acts of service.
Yeah, gifts and acts of service. Even though gifts is not one of your top love language, but got you some flowers just because.
Yeah.
Got you. Got some makeup from Risque.
I got some lip gloss on. I like it. It's very subtle.
Check out Risque. This is one of my classmates back home. Aisha got a dope makeup line. So check her out. I like her wristband. Says make a wrist. Let me show you.
Take a wrist. Oh, it say make a wrist?
I said take a risk.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, say take a risk. Take a risk. So yeah, check that out. That's definitely awesome. And we had a good time. Drank some wine and
ate some cookies.
Yeah. Had a good Friday.
Yeah.
So definitely want to just point.
Just go
out.
ahead and pat yourself on the back. That's what you wanted to do.
Well, just for the fellas out there, it don't necessarily have to be a special day. It don't necessarily have to be a birthday or anniversary or anything like that. Sometimes just do it just to be doing it. You know what I'm saying? I went to the grocery store, picked up some extra groceries. You know what I'm saying? So. Mm-hmm. You just, that's just part of it.
Well, like I said, that whole acts of service thing, mm-hmm. we'll call the cookies and the wine, and the lip gloss and makeup, acts of service, because going to the grocery store is like, it's just, that's the only like problem that I have with the 5 love languages and acts of service. Yeah. When you like put in things that's supposed to be done around the house so the home can function, right? It's like, you should
it's their steps.
It just should be like something that like, both of us do. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I don't know.
It's their steps. Give people their progress. Just their journey. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, you're doing an excellent job. I definitely appreciate going to the store and grabbing a few things because we needed those few things.
That's all that matters.
Well, I'm just
as we get there, then we can talk about it and say, you know what, yeah, you're right. But
yeah, I think with the 5 love languages, I wish that would have been like a little bit more like defined a little bit more than saying, oh, do housework. It's like, well, really, we got to get these men on board with doing housework, period. You know what I mean? If the wife is, well, even if they not working, like, being at home with the kids is a lot of work. Like, a housewife is working. She's just not working outside of the home. But I think that it's doubly hard when you're working outside of the home. So if both people working outside of the home, it's like, yeah, we need to pay somebody to do this. So you need to be helping. Right.
Yeah, I feel you. And I just want to give a shout out, last but not least, King Gene. You know what I'm saying? Go to king-gene.com. Mm-hmm. Go check out. He has an awesome line. Premium tees, as you see. I got the crown. But he also have Queen Gene as well. Mm-hmm. So go out there and check it out. King-gene.com. Appreciate you.
Awesome. All right.
Let's get this show on the road. This is part 3?
On the road.
Difficult conversation part 3. I
think it's part 4.
Maybe part 4, but whatever it is, the other parts are right there. So go check them out.
Episodes 91, 92, 93, and we're on 94 today.
There it is.
Okay, so again, I try to say this at the beginning of these series. If this is your first time joining us, go back to episode 91 so you'll know what we're talking about. But basically, we are discussing a book called Difficult Conversations. It was authored by 3 people. So I will say authors as I speak about this, but the whole book is about how to have difficult conversations. And what is a difficult conversation? Anything that is hard for you to talk about. Mm-hmm. So this is important in every area of your life. I really love the book. Of course, I'm like, condensing things for time's sake, and this is my interpretation of the book. So, of course, I would encourage everyone to read the book for yourself, just to make sure that like you get all of the complete information. But I think I do a pretty good job.
I think you do a good job as well.
So this week from the book, we are talking about The blame game.
The blame game.
When you have a conflict or an argument with someone, typically what happens?
You blame it on something else.
You blame it on.
You don't take accountability. I know that.
Yeah. Well, not me.
Well,
you talking about people in general.
People in general.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong. You're not immune to it. You're not immune to the blame game.
I'm not, but I'm pretty good at it. But you know what? At like
not playing.
Yeah. But what I do is something that this book talks about, which is equally bad, and that is, we'll get to it later.
Okay. Can't wait to hear what this is about.
Okay, quote from the book: focusing on blame is a bad idea because it inhibits our ability to learn what's really causing the problem and to do anything meaningful to correct it. So if all we do is blame each other, how do we get to the solution?
Can't, because you're in a cycle of blaming each other.
Right.
And so the solution's over there in the corner laughing. Because it's me, and it's not me versus you. It's me and you versus the problem.
Exactly. And we've talked about that before on the podcast. And that is definitely something that everyone just needs to remember when you're in a relationship or anything. And I think I first learned that when I was like 17 as a waitress. And I went to like this training, and, you know, the man was explaining to us that basically when a customer is upset, don't take it personally. Like it was customer service training. Right. Don't take it personally. I mean, sometimes I guess you could take it personally if they just start acting really irate. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, they don't know you. They're not mad at you. They're mad at the situation. So
what if you lose my credit card though?
That happened to you, didn't it?
It did happen.
Were you mad at the...
I wasn't.
You was mad at the situation?
I wasn't mad at the situation.
I mean, you were pretty level.
I'm chill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, just find it, basically.
They gave us a comp. You know what I'm saying? They took some off our meal.
Well, tell people what happened.
I don't know. I just tried to pay for my meal, and she was taking all day, and then come to find out, she couldn't find a card.
So she took your card and put it in a little folder that they, you know, when you're in the restaurant, and then, you know, you were waiting for your card to come back to you.
Right.
And they weren't coming.
Right.
And then they finally came.
They sent the manager over to tell us what happened. I guess she didn't know how. She couldn't.
She couldn't have the difficult conversation.
Yeah,
right?
I guess she couldn't do it.
See, this is
an I'm example. Over here. I'm cool. I'm probably the best person to have a difficult conversation with. Right? Maybe.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, that's another example of like, oh my God, like, and I'm sure she was
freaking out.
Yeah, I mean, so. But the manager knew how to have that conversation.
Yeah. And
then they gave you money.
Yeah.
They gave you a comp, you said.
Yeah.
They eventually found the card.
Right.
So what if they didn't find the card?
I just would have counseled it, and they would got another one. It's not a big deal.
Wow. For some people, that would be a huge deal.
Well,
I think, I don't know.
I would just ask for a bigger comp. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so basically what the authors would like, I'm sorry, I'm smacking. I'll try not to. But what the authors would like for us to do is to move away from blame and move toward what they are calling a contribution system.
Okay, how we do that?
I'm surprised you didn't say anything like contribution system. What?
I'm open. Let me hear you. How do we do it?
Basically, we just need to ask ourselves some questions, and here are some of them. Okay. How did we each contribute to bringing about the current situation? Because basically, when there's a problem, more than likely, both people contributed to the problem in some way.
I like that.
Yeah, it's pretty much always true.
It does like the opposite of what the blame game does. Because the blame game keeps going back and forth between you guys, and so you're not paying attention to the problem. But the contribution system, if you think about what you did, because there's always something that you did to contribute to the issue, right? So if you focus on that and that alone and bring that to the table, then that person can feel, a little bit more sympathetic because you brought something too.
Yes.
And and then I can feel sympathetic. You know what I'm saying? And then we can focus on the problem.
Look at Jason.
You see what I'm saying? I like that. Oh, God. What?
Vulnerable is another word.
Okay, vulnerable.
But I'm just he's already like said my whole episode. Just in that sentence.
Oh yeah. I mean, that just makes sense. Because when you're doing the blame game, you're not feeling sympathetic or vulnerable. You're being defensive. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And you're trying to protect you. But if you just go ahead and let yourself go, and your partner's supposed to love you and support you and be there for you, they can be like, no, don't worry about it. It's okay. You know what I'm saying? I messed up too. Mm-hmm. And we can easily hold each other accountable, but at the same time, look out for each other, support each other, and let's just focus on how to get past this.
That's right, Jason. Mm-hmm. Here's what the authors say about what you just said. Blame is about judging and looks backward. Mm-hmm. Contribution is about understanding and looks forward. Mm-hmm. That's what you pretty much said. Yeah. And then some of the other things that you said, we're still gonna go into that. But basically,
I ain't gotta watch the rest of this. Y'all got the show. It's like, no.
Here's some more questions. What do we each do or not do to get ourselves into this mess? And then, having identified the contributions system, how can we change it? Right? Cool. How do we move forward?
And I just wanted to say for all our new listeners out here, Ashley does 99% of the research. So I did not read this book. She read the book. All my listeners, y'all, people that's already been here, my faithful loveologists, y'all already know how the game goes. But for our new people, she reads the stuff first. And I sit in this chair as you with no knowledge of what she's talking about. And I'm asking these questions that you may ask as sitting here. So I think that brings a better dynamic of a back and forth. So I can ask some of those questions or, feel kind of perplexed when the author says something that's kind of crazy a little bit and she can break it down or whatever. So that dynamic was pretty cool because I didn't know what the book was going to say. And I pretty much said what the book said. I do that quite often, actually.
Yeah, I'm tired of saying this. Lately, this has been happening every time I review a book or, you always pretty much kind of know what they're saying.
Do you think it has any connection with my meditation?
Sure. Why
routine?
Not? Yeah.
I meditate here and there.
I mean, and you're a mature guy,
I'm getting there.
Okay. The contribution system is useful when our goal is to understand what actually happened so that we can improve how we work together in the future. So just reiterating what you said, okay? Mm-hmm. Focusing on, now we're going to talk about blame first, but focusing on blame is a waste of time. It neither helps you understand the problem looking back, nor helps you fix it going forward. Contribution fundamentally uses the blame frame, which is what they call it.
The blame frame.
Makes conversations more difficult, while understanding the contribution systems may make a difficult conversation easier and more likely to be productive. So like what you said, Jason, if I come to you first and I go ahead and own my contribution to this situation, then that makes you less defensive and more vulnerable because I'm being vulnerable. Right. And it just makes for an easier conversation, and we're more than likely to get to, a problem. I mean, to the solution.
To the problem, which gets you to the solution and gets you to make up sex quicker as well.
Oh my God. Can you think of any times this has happened in our life?
What, the blame game or how we?
Have you ever blamed me for anything? That comes to mind like a strong memory?
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
No,
I don't want to hear this.
No, it was when we was on the cruise.
And what?
And I blamed you for me being locked out of the room.
So this was our honeymoon.
Yeah.
And for all those people who are just getting married, it's actually sometimes a honeymoon will have a few arguments on it.
Yeah.
And it could have you feeling like, oh my God,
But I picked the right dude.
What's going on? But no, I mean, maybe some people don't have any disagreements, but we had a couple. Yeah. We had a couple. And it was just like the difference in our personality.
Yeah.
And one was that, Jason, what happened? I went back to the room. I wanted to get ready and do something because I'm really time oriented. I'm like this. And Jason's like, woo, I'll get ready in 2 minutes before it's time for us to go. And I think we were getting ready to go on a excursion. and Jason wanted to stay, on the top. I don't know. And I was like, okay, I'm going back to the room so I can go get ready. And then Jason comes downstairs and he's like mad at me because he was knocking on the door, but to get into the room. But the only problem was it wasn't my door. It wasn't our door. So,
right. And there's no cell phone, so we didn't select a package where we could call each other. So it was just straight, So yeah, I got upset.
So I heard somebody beating on the door. I was like, what is happening out there? So I peek out the door and he's on somebody else's door, just boom, boom, boom. But you blamed me. I don't think you actually apologized for that, actually.
Yes, I did, babe.
I don't know. I think we just kind of went with it.
Nah, you laughed at me and see, just like she's laughing at me now. It was just like that. Yeah, you laughed at me, I apologized for it, and we moved on. But you were just too tickled.
Yeah, I made light of that situation because other people could have probably been really angry.
Yeah, it was too funny.
I mean, I think it's like, don't take things so seriously. Like, I'm like, that's what you get. Why are you trying to be mad at me? Why are you trying to be mad at me? You're the one that's knocking at the wrong door.
Right.
Ooh, hilarious. Anyway, well, I'll give some examples later on we're rolling into one thing, and there's 3 misconceptions about contributions. Okay. Mm-hmm. And one is one that I have struggled with in my life. You kind of mentioned it earlier when you said I should focus only on my contribution. Mm. But so I've always been very self-aware that I can only control myself. I can't control what the other person does. So I am always looking at what I could have done better in a situation. But what they're saying is a misconception is that you're only supposed to focus on what you could have done better. Mm. No. No. And that's what I have done a lot in my life. I take on all the responsibility and say, this is all my fault. Some of it is my fault, but not all of it. You know what I mean? Right. So I have definitely done that a lot. Yeah. What do you think?
Do I think that you've done that a lot?
Yeah.
I guess so. I mean, that conversation is going on in your brain. So
yeah, I've done that a lot in my life. I mean, that's just how I am. Like, oh, this situation happened, and my brain immediately goes to what could I have done better? Which is good, but to not hold another person accountable for what they're doing, what their contributions were, is not good. Right. It's not fair to you.
Right.
I really like this part of the book when they were talking about, can you be, even though it's not mostly your fault, right? Mm-hmm. But you can still have a role to play in it. So it says that recognizing that everyone involved in the situation has contributed to the problem doesn't mean that everyone has contributed equally. You can be 5% responsible or 95% responsible. There is still joint contribution. Of course, quantifying contribution is not easy and in most cases not very helpful. Understanding is the goal, not assigning percentages. Mm. So sometimes, I think a lot of people may have a hard time with that because it's like, well, you did 95% of this. Like, this is mostly your fault.
Right.
And, but do you, don't act like you didn't have a contribution because it's mostly the other person's fault. Like the book said, you want to get to an understanding.
Right.
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 So it doesn't matter. Let's just get to an understanding.
Right.
About what we need to do. Mm-hmm. Okay. Another misconception is putting aside blame means putting aside feelings.
Okay.
That's not true.
Right.
Just because you're putting aside, just because you don't want to blame a person for something doesn't mean that you have to totally erase your feelings about it.
Right.
The better thing to do, and this goes back to making I statements, well, you hurt me, not you hurt me, but it hurt me, or I was very hurt by this.
Right.
And being very specific about your feelings instead of you did this, you did that.
Right.
That feels more like you're blaming me.
Right.
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 Which What do you think?
I mean, it's the same. It's just served differently.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, do you want a hamburger served to you with, you know, just stuff all sprawled out everywhere in a brown paper bag, or do you want a butler coming in with it on a silver platter with the fixings all around it? So it's the same thing, but it's served differently. So therefore, that person can receive it differently. You know what I'm saying? And that's the main thing. You want the person to receive it. Because if they don't receive it, then
what's the point?
What is the point?
Right. Okay. Third misconception is a sticky one. Okay. Exploring contribution means blaming the victim. That's a misconception, right? So, especially in today's society where this phrase of like victim blaming is out there. So I think that there's a thin line between that. And basically what these authors are saying is that like, just because you are exploring what a person could have done better does not mean that you're victim blaming.
Yeah.
Right. So he gives an example, or they give an example of being mugged or robbed.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You don't deserve to be robbed in any shape or form. Right. But if you're walking alone, you know, at night by yourself,
right,
is there something that you could have done that could have prevented that?
Right.
So, like I said, it is a very thin line between victim blaming and saying like, okay, but you know, like be empowered, empower yourself and make certain decisions to help prevent something like that from happening. Right. Like we will teach I'm not even going to say just my daughter, like our son and daughter, that like, you know, it's better to go out with a group of people at night. Like when I was out partying with my girlfriends, I mean, you was always with a group of guys, right? Like
for the most part.
And you know,
I fly solo sometimes.
Oh, okay. but when I was, you know, when my girlfriends and I used to go out and we've been drinking, drunk, like, oh no, you came to the party with me, you going home with me. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like we got our eyes on each other, we sticking together. We're not getting separated, you know? Yeah. Like, why would I? And then sometimes I used to go out by myself, right? But if I'm going out by myself, I maybe had like one drink or something, you know, because I just don't want to be, why would I get drunk by myself? Like, not in my home, right? So what do you think of this?
What do you mean what I think about
of this whole situation about like you know, just because you're looking for what a person could have contributed to the situation, that you're not necessarily victim blaming them, blaming the victim.
Yeah, like I said, it's, like you said, it's kind of a sticky, you know what I'm saying, situation there. Yeah, I just try to stick to the facts and how I can present this to you in a way that you can hear me. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. Communication 101. Well,
I think the problem is that like, I don't think that I would ever actually say that to somebody because I am afraid that they would take it as like victim blaming. But I think it's something for you to understand. You know what I mean? As a person, as an individual, for you to be able to come up with that own conclusion about, you know, was there something that I could have done better? Like you said, it's not your fault at all. It's not your fault, but is there something, you know, that I could do that can prevent this in the future?
Right.
Or
is there an area I can improve in?
Yeah.
So
what
if
was
this situation happens again, then, you know, the outcome may be differently.
Yeah. And like I said, I know it's hard because bad things happen to good people all the time. Even if you do take all the precautions in the world, sometimes bad things still happen and bad people still do bad things to people. So I totally get that. But like I said, I definitely want my daughter and son to feel very empowered and like make certain you know, decisions and really think about, you know, everything before they do it, you know. So okay, so what ways could you have contributed to the problem?
What problem?
Any problem.
I mean,
Like
it got to be specific.
If me
like,
and you have an argument about something, I'll just list them because it's a silly question. So you could have waited too long. You've been avoiding talking about something.
Right.
That can contribute to a problem.
Yeah, it can contribute. So it's a problem already because obviously you're upset or you feeling some type of way about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's an issue, but you're waiting too long to address the issue, which does nothing but grow the issue, the original issue.
Mm-hmm.
You adding more to what it already is, and you're gonna make it bigger than what it really has to be,
Right?
Which will make it an even more difficult conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't even have to be that way. It could have been solved a long time ago.
Yeah. So, I think this is, because it is a difficult conversation. I think we're talking about difficult conversations. I think this is something that happens a whole lot, that people just avoid it and then they never talk about it and then they get bitter and all this other stuff. And like you said, it just grows into something else. But I think this happened, this is probably the way that people, contribute to the problem a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when it's always a flip side to the coin. You know what I'm saying? Once you see a person a certain way, that, like, for instance, if you feel like you caught your man in a lie, you know what I'm saying? You caught your man lying. He said he didn't do something and you see that you saw him, that he did it, right? Mm-hmm. I wish I can come up with a good example, but we'll just roll with it. Use your imagination, please. So now you're gonna keep it to yourself. You know what I'm saying? That's what a lot of women do that. You know what I'm saying? Kind of keep it to yourself, and I'm gonna watch him. And so now you see him doing stuff, and you see him say stuff, and you're out in your head, he probably lying. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And now you building up this character of a liar, and it's not even that. Mm-hmm. And he might do, because we all do questionable things sometimes. You know what I'm saying? They could go either way. It could seem like it's a bad thing, but it's really not once you understand the dynamics of everything. But since you already got that blinders on your face, that lying goggles on, you're gonna automatically think that person's lying. You're gonna grow resentment. And if you had that conversation a long time ago, mm-hmm. and you would have found out that, oh, he wasn't lying on this particular initial situation. This thing actually happened the way he said it, that it happened. Mm-hmm. So all this future stuff that you experienced wouldn't even have been, you wouldn't have experienced it that way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's important to, anytime, and I say this all the time, my people know me, anytime I make your eyebrows go up or down, holla at me. Holla at me. Mm-hmm. Talk to me. Don't talk to somebody else. Talk to me. Could I have done that for real? Possibly. At least for sure, if you talk to me, it's okay. We're grown. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I can make mistakes. I can say, I apologize for that. I didn't know that hurt you in that way. You see what I'm saying? And we can move on. It's really that simple.
Yep. All about moving on. Jason's all about that.
Yeah.
Okay. This brings me to my next point. Another way that you could have contributed is if you are not an approachable person. Mm. So somebody could want to talk to you, but you just, when they try to point out something or try to say anything, you go off or, any and everything. So no, nobody's going to be comfortable talking to you if that's the way that you are when we try to come and express a problem.
The Bible talks about iron sharpens iron, right? But how can you get sharpened if you're not willing to take the heat, right? Mm-hmm. You gotta get, when it comes to blacksmith and making, swords and stuff like that, it takes some heat, mm-hmm. right? You got to get heat up a little bit. You got to get in that kitchen and get heated up mm-hmm. to get sharpened by that other iron. And if you can't take the heat, then it's how can you get improved? You're gonna be dull,
right? Yeah. And something that works with our daughter, because she's old enough to understand. But, you know, just like asking your partner, how am I doing? Like, how are you feeling? How are you feeling about this relationship? How am I doing as a partner? You know, is there anything that you would like to tell me? I think that works. We talk to our daughter like that. It's like, you know, Jordan, is there anything you want to tell us today? Or, you know,
Right.
and I think it kind of works. Like, you know, that's the whole point of surveys, right?
Yeah.
When a company does a survey,
I like that, man.
surveys are super important. It just gives people an opportunity to express what it is that they having a problem with.
Right.
But also what surveys does that I don't like is that, you know,
You get a false sense of doing great because people just put all 5s.
Well, even if they put something negative, it's like we now need to address those negative things and we need to have conversations about it. And so surveys, it allows people to say what they want to say, but then like, who wrote this and can we have a conversation about, you know, hear my side of the story. Like, I didn't know that this was happening.
Right.
Let me try to, you know, tell you some things too. Like, conversations are just better.
Yeah, and that's something that a company has to deal with. But when you talking about in a relationship, you can have that conversation with the person who filled out a verbal survey. You know what I'm saying? What's wrong with that's a really a nice nugget. To go and ask your partner, hey, is there anything that you want to, you know, tell me, anything that I could do better? Yeah. You know, just open up the gates, because when they come to you and say, well, you know, this is, you know, let them know, hey, tell me, because I'm not perfect. You know what I'm saying? We can all improve. We can all strive to get better. So please let me know, you know? So when they tell you what it is, don't get upset. Just, hey, just accept it. And then say, you know, hey, and then they may, well, hopefully they will say, well, is there anything that I can do better, you know? And that gives you your opportunity to tell them in a nice way. Right. And I like to do it in a sandwich, you know, something positive, give them the meat of it, the negative stuff, and then finish off with another positive bun, you know, positive, negative, positive. That's my sandwich. I like to give it to them that way. So it works.
So the last couple of ways that you may have contributed to the problem is a problematic role assumption. I don't really get that one.
A problematic role assumption.
Yeah, I don't get it. Oh, actually, the first one was intersections, which means that people are different. So they said that people are different. If we hope to stay together over the long haul, we will sometimes have to compromise our preferences and meet in the middle. And that's something that you just have to understand.
Yeah.
Like, being in a relationship is about compromise. Of course, it's like a delicate balance of not compromising too much, where you would get to the point that you're compromising yourself, you know.
Right.
But, you know, you're different. You're different.
Yeah.
So
just what it is. You're different people.
So
you're not going to always think the same or like the same things or come up with the same ideas, or the solution is going to be the same. No, it's going to be different. That's the whole point. So, you know, just get used to it. And, you know, try to go, you know, okay, we compromise. If you want to keep tally, if you're that type of person, all right, we compromised with your stuff last time. Now it's my turn. You know what I'm saying? If it's that, you know, if you're that anal with it, you know?
Yeah. So basically, if you are an uncompromising person, then you're going to have some problems.
Get you a dog or a cat or something.
Pretty much. Of course, like I said, there's some things that you don't need to compromise on, but some things like, it's okay. Like, let's just come to a compromise. It's
right.
Okay. I don't have to have it my way. But problematic role assumptions, I don't know what they were talking about. I read it, but I don't know what they're talking about.
Could they possibly be saying that like you're assuming that the person is, you know, maybe, you know, in that particular role, like I was saying, a liar, you know what I'm saying? You assume that person is a liar, but
that could be it.
That person is not a liar.
Yes.
So yeah,
we'll just say that's it.
Yeah. Hey, if you read along with the book with us, tell us what you think what that is. Problematic role assumptions. I think
it just wasn't sticking. Maybe I read it too fast. It just wasn't sticking. So I actually don't remember, and I didn't get a chance to make a note because, you know, it was just. So basically, what do you want to do? when you are in a difficult situation and you want to prevent from falling into the blame game. Okay. First, you want to ask, what are they contributing? Which is something that we always ask, right? Like, this is all your fault. But second question, what am I contributing to this problem? And who else is involved? Because actually it could be something that's outside of both of your controls. Like
your children.
So we have to look at that too. Mm-hmm. Okay. So here's your special formula that Jason already knows. Okay. He already said it earlier in the episode. When you approach in a conversation and you feel like somebody is at fault, maybe you should, ask this question about what am I contributing? Start with what you recognize that you contributed to this problem. Mm-hmm. Take responsibility for your contribution first. Help them understand their contribution. Mm-hmm. Because basically what happens, because this has happened to me a lot, as a person who takes responsibility for my actions, a lot of times people don't take responsibility for theirs.
Right.
So it is upon me to point that out and not allow them to just put all of it on me.
Right.
Right. So what happens when that, has that ever happened to you where you're just like, well, this is my fault, and somebody just let you take all of it?
Yeah. Yeah. People do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The people do because they think that you don't see them. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But it just lets you know where they're at, on their journey. You know what I'm saying? So, but if it's if it's a friend, depending on how close friend it is, or if it's an associate, especially a coworker, I just let them have it. You know what I'm saying?
So sometimes you just let them,
it's all good.
It's not worth the squeeze.
Nah.
The juice is not worth the squeeze.
Nah. Because at the end of the day, that just lets me know where you at. You know what I'm saying? So if it's, maybe if it comes up multiple times, then maybe I, just for the sake of a working relationship. Mm-hmm. But if we don't work around each other, then I don't even feel like taking you there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll let somebody else deal with that. I'm gonna let God work on you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But if it's me and you, then I feel like we are at a point that we can have an adult conversation. You know what I'm saying?
A difficult conversation.
An adult difficult conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Okay. And the last thing is to clarify what you would have them to do differently. So if you're offended by something, you take your responsibility, then you point out to them what you feel like how they contributed to this conversation.
Well, I think I would ask them.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
How do you think we could have done this differently?
No, yeah, I just because I'm pointing myself out, but I want to give you an opportunity to point yourself out. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I want to ask you, do you think there is something that you could have done differently? Mm-hmm. Hopefully by you bringing your stuff out, hopefully I automatically bring theirs out. Mm-hmm. But if they don't take that first step, it's like, okay, well, now let me ask instead of just going straight. Because that, to them, they might see that as a blame game. They might just dismiss what you said about yourself and then just automatically go into tunnel vision saying, oh, you blaming me. Mm-hmm. So it's like, say what you could have done better, but also ask them, what do you think you could have done something better? Mm-hmm. Like I said, hopefully they will already come out and they will say what they need to say about what they could have done.
Yeah.
But if they don't, ask the question. And if they say no, then that's when you can point it out.
That's a good that's a good approach.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about infidelity. Because this is one of these moments where it's like, of course the person that cheated on the other person gets the blame.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Is that
like 100%?
It's not 100%.
And I apologize. Please don't take this the wrong way for the people who've been cheated on and people who cheated, all that good stuff. Especially people who've been cheated on. Don't take this the wrong way because I've been cheated on too.
I have to.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
it does suck. But it's not 100% their fault all the time.
Yes.
In all cases.
In all cases.
Some cases it is, right? In some cases it could be where it's 100% that person's fault. Do you think that is possible?
Yeah, because people have reasons outside of that's completely absent of you,
right? For
their, that they want to go sleep with somebody else.
So all the millions of people that will watch this, right? If you have that case where, it's not your fault at all, then hey, we get it. You know what I'm saying? But we're talking about for a majority of them, I believe, I would say a majority of, you could say some of them, if you get cheated on, it's not always 100% their fault. It's something that you possibly could have contributed to it as well.
Yes, and definitely that's one of those hard times. And we did a whole series about this, and I think we just titled it Infidelity 1 through 5. And
check it out.
Yeah. And it was by the book by Esther Perel, and she was talking about the way that people learn a lot sometimes by going through an affair. Of course, she wouldn't say that that's something that you should do, but it's not always all bad. Some of the things and the issues that were happening in the relationship finally come to light as a result of the infidelity. And the couple actually start to have these conversations that they should have had a long time ago about why they were unhappy in the relationship. But when I was cheated on, I still found a way to make it my responsibility. And I'll tell you why. Because I don't feel like, he said, oh, well, you were perfect, girlfriend. It didn't have anything to do with you. And, it was, and I believe that. But then I still had to say, well, this was I'm talking about the second time this happened. Why does this keep happening? I need to figure something out. You know what I mean? Because I'm not about this life.
Yeah. The second time you've been cheated on is what you're saying.
So, yes. And by a different person, right? So what I came to the conclusion, the responsibility that I took was that I saw the signs. You know what I mean? I saw the signs that this person.
I saw the signs.
Oh, wow.
Open up my heart. I saw the signs.
Open up my eyes.
Open up my eyes. I saw the signs.
How do you know that song? Do you know who sing that song?
No.
I forget their name.
Okay, whatever.
It's a band. Anyway. So I was not surprised that he cheated on me.
Yeah.
Because I knew he was capable of it. I have a phrase that I say, anybody is capable of anything given the right circumstances. But I knew that he was very capable of cheating on me because he had that wondering eye, and don't to the point where he doesn't even know that I'm standing here. I guess everybody look, but you all in it. You haven't forgot all about me over here, right? Yeah. And just other stuff like that mentality of, what is it? What's the phrase? I'll ask for forgiveness. I'd
rather ask for forgiveness than ask for permission.
Definitely had that sort of mentality. Before I knew that phrase, I could see that in him, that he did a couple of other things where, we had kind of discussed that we wouldn't do something, and then he did it anyway because that's what he wanted to do. And then he asked for forgiveness. So that happened a couple times. So that's like going into the character of a person. Like, oh, I'm gonna ask for forgiveness. I'm gonna do what I want to do, though. Right. I'm not gonna stop myself from doing what I don't want to do. Anyway.
Right.
So still my responsibility. I'm not totally blaming myself. Of course, he did the do. And what do you think? Since you were cheated on, were you surprised, or did you feel like she was capable of doing something like that?
Well, I was surprised, mainly because as I get older, I think it's because I was mentally on a different level. Like I feel like mentally, I was not necessarily, I was just at an earlier stage of life mentally than she was, because she already had a child. She already been through the baby mama, baby daddy drama. You know what I'm saying? She already been through that dynamic where they live together and all this and that. I didn't have that dynamic. You know what I'm saying? So I was new to that type of world. So when she wanted me to do certain things that cause you to have experience that type of level of relationship, I didn't know how to do that. And so she probably in her mind felt like I wasn't a capable candidate. And instead of just saying, dude, you're not gonna cut the mustard. She just used the mustard. Just used it, and already made up her mind that she was gonna, cut losses. But let me get as much as I can out of it while I'm in it. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was the fault that she did. She just could have kept it real with me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because as you know, now I'm older and I have children now. I see where I was lacking in those areas.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you expect with a person that doesn't have any kids?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I was the baby of the family, and I didn't have any little cousins. So what do you expect? How do you expect for me to mid 20-year-old, you know what I'm saying, to help raise a 2-year-old? I know nothing about that world.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you got to have patience, and she didn't want to have patience. So it did surprise me. I didn't recognize that at first, but now I do see how I contributed to it, but I just didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe because you're my hubby and I love you, but I really don't see that as your contribution. I see that as like she could have done a better job at explaining some things to you. Like you said, it's like, how can you? I can't really blame somebody who just don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in that situation.
Well, it is what it is.
Okay, well, anyway, so yes, that was an example that was given in the book about, a wife that cheats on the husband, and is it completely her fault? Of course you're going to blame her, like you're ruining our relationship. You just ruined everything. And okay, well, what was he, does he have anything to contribute? Was he not talking to her, not being affectionate with her, not,
spending time
with her?
Probably didn't know her love languages, which number one was probably quality time.
Anything, right? So yes, another pretty good example that the book gives, and this is, about a business relationship where a boss and her assistant have an issue because the boss went to do a presentation in another town, and her assistant packed her suitcase. And when the boss was getting ready to do the presentation and she opened up her suitcase, it's the wrong presentation inside of the suitcase. So, she got a couple of choices. She can just either blame, like, this is totally her assistant fault, right?
Right.
Do you think so?
No. Because she probably got the assistant doing way too much.
Exactly. That's one of the things. So yeah, it's like, she can approach this situation and say, okay, let's figure out what happened, right? Like, let's kind of retrace our steps and like, let's see how did this happen so this doesn't happen again. So the assistant goes on to tell her that, like, basically she's hard to talk to, unapproachable, not very approachable, right? When she gets really busy, and she was preparing multiple presentations, so like you said, doing way too much. Her boss was not very approachable, and so she didn't double check it like she normally does. She packed the bags, and the assistant didn't double check it, but the assistant said, well, I knew that you double check it, so when you didn't call me, I figured everything was okay because I figured you looked in and you doubled, and it was all good. But she was like, well, when I went to go double check it, the assistant said when she was going to double check it, but something else, she called her to do something else and she didn't get a chance to do it, and then she left before her boss left before she was able to do it.
Yeah.
So like you said, doing too much, right? And it's not fair of the boss to just like blame it all on her. It's like, okay, well, what could you have done better? So the boss took the proper approach of like, okay, well, I can stop being such a right? And I want you to remind me of this conversation if I do start to do that, and I want you to be more forceful with me, right? Like if I, because also change is hard. So this is that line, the last thing that we talked about when it says to clarify what you would have them to do differently.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to try my best to be better in this area. But if I should slip back into my old ways, I need you to do something. Like, I need you to be a little bit more forceful with me.
Yeah.
And if, and remind me of this conversation when you do it. Right. Yeah. So I thought that was, a good example of like, just having a conversation and not just going with, is my assistant fault. It's like, no, you could have did something better too.
Sure.
Yeah. So.
All right, babe. Let's that's it for today. Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. How many more difficult conversation episodes you think we got in us?
At least
two
like
more.
No, more than that.
Oh Lord. So if you love it, I mean, difficult conversation is something definitely good, good to talk about. So, man, I'm glad. I hope everybody's enjoying it. Let us know what y'all want to hear. Let us know. Give us some feedback. Hit us a comment. Don't forget hit that like button or dislike button. Hit that subscribe button. If you felt like you got something out of this today, please share it with somebody. You can go to YouTube and hit that share button. You can send it right through a text message. Text your group, your group me group or whatever, however groups, your group chat. Text that to the group chat with the ladies. Like, check out this podcast, y'all, or the fellas. Check out this podcast. So definitely do that for us. We really appreciate it. If you want to check out some of our gear, you can go to loveologypodcast.com and you can scroll down. We got shirts, we got hats, all that good stuff. Y'all know what time it is. And also, if you want to become a Patreon, same thing, loveologypodcast.com. Scroll down, find a button that says, I want to be a Patreon. And you can contribute to Loveology Podcast as low as $2 a month. So really appreciate y'all. That's it, man. I hope y'all enjoy y'all week, and we're going to catch y'all next time. So peace out.
Bye.